The safety of the world's most powerful leaders at the G8 summit was, in part, in the hands of G4S. If an intruder had been arrested, the police were the visible front line, but G4S also played a role in getting them to court, to prison or to freedom. Despite fouling up its Olympics coverage a year ago, G4S bounced back. It remained this government's favourite private company for public work. Until today. The Justice Secretary today said his department had uncovered evidence of overcharging by G4S and another firm, Serco.
It included charges for people who were back in prison and had had their tags removed, for people who had left the country, and those who had never been tagged in the first place, but who had instead been returned to court. There are a small number of cases where charging continued for a period when the subject was known to have died. In some instances, charging continued for a period of many months and indeed years after active monitoring had ceased. The House will share my view that this is a wholly indefensible and unacceptable state of affairs.
Serco agreed to a new forensic audit by accountants PricewaterhouseCoopers, but G4S declined, and so Chris Grayling announced his next step.
I have no information to confirm that dishonesty has taken place on the part of either supplier. But given the nature of the findings of the audit work that has taken place so far, and the very clear legal advice that I have received, I am today asking the Serious Fraud Office to consider whether an investigation is appropriate into what happened at G4S, and to confirm to me whether any of the actions of anyone in that company represent more than a contractual breach.
G4S today issued this statement.
We are working with the Ministry of Justice on their review of the electronic monitoring contracts. We believe that we are delivering our electronic monitoring service in a completely open and transparent way.
Evacuate just now, just now!
For over 30 years, G4S specialist training has provided governments, businesses and individuals with the skills to operate safely and effectively.
G4S's relationship with the British government is also long. Chris Grayling's department alleges that the overcharging might have started from 2005. It could even have gone as far back as 1999. Ministry of Justice contracts with G4S rose from 8 million in 2008 to almost 10 times that by 2012, and that's just one department. The annual contract value of G4S's pipeline of public sector contracts was 759 million in 2010 and 2011. G4S has contracts with 10 central government departments and agencies, and the sector is growing. The value of contracts run by private companies like Serco, G4S, Capita and others has risen from 9.6 billion in 2008 to 20.4 billion in 2012. What's happened at G4S makes things quite tricky for the government. They like to outsource elements of the public services because they think that private companies do things more efficiently and so more cheaply. They need to get to the bottom of what happened at the Ministry of Justice, both to save money, but also to save the whole idea.
What we need are two things. One is a lot more transparency, a lot more information about your results, what costs you incur and what value you deliver to taxpayers. The second thing is a lot more competition. The best providers should be doing that job, not the ones that government has a relationship with and is cozying up to and giving contracts to.
Its mishandling of the Olympics contract last year suggested to many all the bad practice of G4S holding a monopoly. It's the world's largest security company, almost as big as a state, and now under the same kind of pressure.